Live. I didn't know I was live. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Everybody watching now. And here, let me turn this off. Everybody watching now and everybody that might watch later, welcome. Put this under, lift this up a little bit. It's a little higher. Not much, but a little. Okay, so let's move it. Let's move this way. Let's move this way. There we go. Get this going. I'm trying to see how I can show you all of course I left my glasses somewhere. Oh, here they are. I'm trying to see how I can screen share, and I might be able to. It says I can. In the broadcast, to click present, I have to click present. I don't see present. I don't see present. Click present. I don't see present. Let's see if any of these do it. Doesn't seem to work. Yeah, I'm face. Ham is voice, I'm face. See, I'm learning here. I'm learning in here. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, add a background. That doesn't do it. Doesn't do it. I don't know how to do it. So there you go. Apparently I can share a, here, maybe this is it. Hit this button. Add item. No. Apparently I can somehow add item. Media slot. Let's see what that does. Media slot. All right. This can't be all that exciting for you. I thought I'd be able to show you my screen, but it says I can do it, but I don't see how to do it. It says screen sharing is awesome. Oh, it's on Chrome. I don't have Chrome. I don't have Chrome. That's the problem. I guess I have to get Chrome. Well, we'll do that another day. I don't have Chrome. All right, so let's see your comments. Ham is not likely to come on. He's traveling today. So you're stuck with me until the close. I don't know if I still have stock prices. I do. Finger is 49999. Volume is 361. What I wanted to show you was the S3. And I wanted to show, I printed it out, I remember. Maybe I have it here. Not the whole thing, just the front page. But in it, it says that they can raise $300 million, but that is a shelf registration, and they can't use it unless they put an additional prospectus for each raise. Well, they included a prospectus for raising $25 million, as you recall, and everyone jumped down my throat. It did not say they would do it at $6. It said they do it at the at the market price. But everyone got no, they're going to do it at higher. What I think you have to consider might be happening here is that if you read the S3, which I did to you before, and I wish I could figure out how to screen save. I also wish I could get rid of this stupid logo up here. Anyway, it said in there they're going to earn 2.5% or 2.25% acting as sales agent. But it also said in the body of the document that should Univest or an agent raise money for the company would issue shares directly to that agent, in this case, Univest. And then Univest would move that onward to their clients or however they handle it. So I think you have to at least consider that Univest is going to raise some money here for their own account. And then perhaps it runs up and they do a higher offering, both where they can be a selling shareholder and Finger Motion can be a selling shareholder at higher prices. Anyway, it's all good. It's not at all bad. In fact, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. That's what I think. So if I'm right, I would expect the stock to stay around $5, maybe $6, $5 to $6, for the next until the approval comes in. That's what I think. But I've been wrong before. When I came to your door, no response. Okay, let's see. True love will never fade. You kind of like the duck? All right. Why did you push back on Daniel's regarding Univest? Ron, because I asked a question, but it's a bit of a pushback, I suppose. Because why, if you're given privileged information, would you share it out on the internet? Why, for example, I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to add to the information, but what Borders put out is information I knew, but I was told to keep it in the strictest confidence, which I did. So I don't quite understand, Ron, what the advantage is in putting it out there. There's no advantage to us. There's no advantage to him. And the risk is that Univest says, you know what? This has or the lawyers say, this has too much, could lead to scrutiny. This has too many eyes on it. And if I were Univest, I'd be upset that my secret sauce was exposed on Twitter for no reason at all. That's why I pushed back. But maybe he had a perfectly good reason for doing it. He felt that 3,000 of his closest friends needed to know inside privileged information. I don't know. I really think it's anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I've never met the man, never spoken to him. I'm sure he's great, and he's got a lot of investors behind him, I'm sure. But I would never, personally, Ron, I would never have put that on the Twitterati, and I never shared it with you. I knew about it over, I don't know, about a week ago, about 5 days ago, 6 days, I don't know, something like that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's how you do things now on every, I had an attorney tell me that the new generation is used to everything being free, everything being available on the internet. They don't want to pay for anything. What I'm noticing is no one in the certain age range wants to wait for anything either. But anyway, Ron, that's why I did. And I could be wrong, by the way. As ever, maybe he had a completely logical reason to do it, Maybe it makes perfect sense when you're given privileged information to broadcast it out to thousands of people, even if it queers the deal. I don't know. Look, these guys, not him, I'm not talking about, these guys that come in and everyone suddenly thinks are experts, they screwed up the squeeze in GTII a year ago, in my judgment. I don't want to go back over it. But anyway, it's not like I'm always right in my projections either. Hey, William, what do you think about Jeremy Frommer blasting the shorts on Twitter? I think it's great. But I like Jeremy very much. I met him. I think he's honest. I think he's smart. He's hardworking. He went to SUNY Albany, and I spent a lot of time growing up. If you walked through an alley, across an alley, to my memory, there might have been some more houses, but I don't. Yeah, maybe. And then you would walk through this little bit of woods. You go on the campus of SUNY Albany from my grandmother's house. And I studied at SUNY Albany in the library. I mean, not as a student, as a guest, just using the facility while I was visiting. But anyway, and he studied, I think he got some advanced degree in London. So he's a sharp guy. But Jeremy had a lot of trust in the system and the sort of what would you call it? The procedures that would prevent this kind of crap from happening. I don't believe there's any oversight in the over-the-counter market. Maybe there is in the New York Stock Exchange, maybe in NASDAQ. I think these guys just crime. So he, as any CEO would, believed the lies that Jeff Easton and Philip Valier said, and by the way, in his case, Power Up Lending. And it's partly because, like we all do, all humans, you want to believe, hey, I'm special. I have a big source of funding. And they're on my side, and I don't have to go scrambling for capital anymore. Well, when I spoke to him, he's right. He said, you don't have any proof for what you're saying, basically. And I said, well, I might be out in front of my skis, but on the other hand, I see what's happening. I understand what's happening. There might be some corrections on the margin. But I think Jeremy had a really hard time believing that Jeff Easton was smart enough to run a criminal campaign to sell stock in hundreds of millions of shares that didn't exist. I kind of share that view. Jeff Easton doesn't look like the brightest bulb on the tree, but I think Jeff Easton is just a front. I think he's just a pass-through. I think he's there to ensnare CEOs, and then he syndicates the deals to others, and they set about destroying the companies. I don't know how anyone observing the over-the-counter market could assume that every CEO, every idea, every technology, every asset, every team of workers, every balance sheet, every company on the over-the-counter market that needs capital should be destroyed. But anyway, Jeremy said on a space call quite a long time ago that he wanted to get the hot money out of his company, and he did. I think now he understands that this is a pernicious ongoing crime. And once you take money from Jeff Easton at Lynn Partners New York City and Philip Vallier, or you take money from Power Up Lending, your stock's going to be a target of this criminal activity. I think Jeremy's a fighter. I think he's created CEO Block. I think he's smart enough with corporate actions to make something happen. But having said that, I think Vocal, the stock price, is getting down into that quicksand area, which might alternatively be called seller boxing. It's not there yet, but one more decimal in it, and it's there. And that's difficult. But I would like to support Jeremy. I'd like to, I own shares that I bought back at 5 cents. Now it's what, a penny, 6. Anyway, I don't really have anything bad to say about Jeremy, and I think if he's fighting the shorts, I give him all my support. He's a man who had the courage to stand up in front of Wall Street at a conference and to their faces describe this criminality. So Jeremy has my support, and I guess that would be my answer. And if I'll look for his comments calling out the shorts. So, James, thank you for that. Ham is always traveling. Well, Casey, Ham visited with an investor last night who's going to buy apparently at least 1 million shares of Finger. That required him to meet the guy face to face. He also met with other investors over the last couple of days. So that's the BITCH of it. If you're out working, hustling, you have to travel sometimes. So it's unfortunate. He may come on. You can't suppress Ham. He's the Energizer Bunny. So he may call in and come on, and that'd be great, you know. Berenston running. On average, the Univest show happens 1 to 10 days after the announcement. I don't know that. I am worried, going back to the previous question, I'm worried that the lawyers at Univest, who are extraordinarily cautious, are going to say, you know what, there's too much attention on the Twitterati pages, and they've put out there your strategy. They've alerted the shorts as to what you're going to do, and you're not going to catch the shorts by surprise now. And should you follow that strategy, it could be looked as collusion. And I mean, I think it's a huge blunder on the part of maybe someone that got overly excited. So my summary, Berenston, is we don't know what Univest is going to do. We don't. And if it were me, which it's not, if it were me last week, I wouldn't have let the stock collapse. But it wasn't me. I don't think Univest needs us. This is why I tried to reference a tiger. We aren't the tiger. We're riding on a tiger. And or we're trying to stay on top of a tiger. And I do not believe Univest needs us, particularly notices us. I hope that's true. I hope they don't notice the the Twitterati pages. I mean, bragging before you go to battle. Could you imagine Napoleon telling one of his allies, you know how I'm going to beat Wellington? I'm going to do this, this, and this. And that ally goes on to the Twitterati, and all of Wellington's troops have mobile phones. And they say, oh, they're going to parry and thrust from the south. Let's move all our cannons down there. I mean, it's something I worry about. But 1 to 10 days after the announcement, that's actually a broad period of time. I'm just going to suggest to you, Berenstain, that if I were Univest, and I'm not, that after being hired by Finger Motion, perhaps 90 days ago, certainly 60 days, over 60 days ago, by the letter that was filed firing Lynn Partners. If I'm if I'm Univest and I've done my due diligence, if I'm Univest and I have performed extremely well for my Southeast Asian investors in the past, if I'm Univest and I've had a pattern of investing in Chinese stocks and in a way putting it to the shorts, if I'm Univest and I've put together what I would imagine is an internal special purpose fund for this investment, if I'm Univest and I announced the S3 last week, I filed the, sorry, they didn't announce it. Finger Motion. I don't know who filed it. I assume Finger Motion made the filing last week, but it said Univest right in it. And then on Thursday, Finger Motion filed the 8K. So the full disclosure requirement is out there. The stock's pulled back. It's an opportunity for Univest should the approval come back very quickly. And so I would actually say that within 1 to 10 days is accurate, leaning towards 1 or 2 or 3 days. But I really emphasize, Berenstain, we don't know. They don't need us. And they might be skitterish. They're not here to help us. And with people broadcasting all over Twitterati that, hey, this is what they're going to do, this is how they do it, and here's their secret sauce, but they're probably more mature than I am, and it's not a big deal. We're little Sambo. Begs the question, why is Borders so late to these plays and he has so much to say about everything? Does he crave the attention, maybe? I don't know. He's not the first guy that's come in front of this audience. You know, you as a collective group have a lot of power. And some of these guys see it as a way of, being successful with you. And fair enough. I mean, they get paid sometimes to be the IR from the company. You get paid a monthly, not pretty nicely, a monthly amount and some stock and all that. That's standard practice. You can't begrudge that. You can't begrudge that. But you have to know what you're talking about, and you have to use some discretion. You really have to use some discretion. When you're privileged enough to have confidential information, as Austin Powers in Dr. Evil says, zip it. I'm scared to hit it. It says remove from stage. Lou Grasso, who is Borders anyway? Do you or the hamster know anything about him? I don't know. I heard he's a pretty important institutional broker, I would call him. I didn't hear that word used to describe him, but he's got a big institutional following. He's got big investors. Apparently, he had buyers for Finger of 2 million shares. And, he's in front of this audience and a lot of the whales in this play in GTII and in others. And now he can add that audience to his source of potential buyers for stock. So I don't know. I've never talked to him. He may be a great guy, and he may just have made a mistake. But when I saw it yesterday, I was agitated. Now it's happened. That's the thing. America's America. It's always, that was yesterday. What are we going to do today? That's America. Hey, it happened. Move on. Get over it. What are you going to do about it today? So I'm not here to say anything negative about him personally. I just think, I think putting that out was a mistake. Was it by accident? Maybe. I don't know. But I understand he's a really successful raiser, or he can get people to buy into stocks in large volume, and that's a talent. I don't know him. I've never spoken to him. Thank you, Linda. I'm not going to read that one out because it seems to go against him, but you guys can read it. I don't want to, he certainly was adamant in his information last week, but to be fair, I had a high degree of confidence last week myself, so I didn't dictate it to the Twitter pages, but fair's fair. I had a high degree of confidence last week myself. I love Saggy Salamander. It's great when he comes in. Saggy, I'm not going to highlight that, but there's no such word as catalyzed. Could a collaboration with whatever stock that is be a catalyst for the price motion in Finger? To say that Finger could be catalyzed is completely meaningless. In investment, there are, I don't know what that says. There are no FEMs. Fairness. There is no fairness. No, that's a really good point. Look, nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about you but your mother. And she might be jiving too. Nobody cares about you on Wall Street. Nobody. Your broker might, if you have a good broker. I think Ham does, but on the other hand, Ham has skin as thick as a rhinoceros, but he's got a big heart as you get to know him. And okay, the stock right now is $497.38, and it if the SEC is watching, makes a lot of sense with a small over-the-counter stock that it would be trading at $497.64. It's urgent that those money managers out there are able to get that in the 0.000 something decimal place. And they need the high speed trading, the algorithms. They need that in these trade by appointment only stocks. But if they can ramp it up and algorithmize it, and that's not a word either, there's nothing to see, SEC. Just focus on if the stock goes up. If it goes up, you better investigate. As long as it's going down, your job's done. Bob's your uncle. What did not legal advice say that was good, finally? Thomas Alfred Andrew Strupp, 43. He will be in the newspaper this weekend. So keep an eye out for it. I'm sure it's meant to say will be in the newspaper. Walter Anaya, we are invested in Finger, GTI, and Logic. This administration is throwing dollars in the market to hold it here until the Republicans get in office. Then they're going to release all hell to go down. I think the Fed and others like Citadel, which Pat Burns says is the Fed, are buying the S&P 6, the S&P 7. You know who they are, Alphabet, Google, whatever, the big names. I don't think Disney is one of them anymore, but they're buying it to keep the stock market up. And I think the Democratic Party, the federal government, and the banks are going to do everything they can do to make sure that the most popular president in the history of the United States by popular vote gets reelected. And so that's what I think to your question. I think Finger, you could get, because you got to think about it. Univest has a massive presence on Wall Street, $150 billion. That would imply to me they have the creme de la creme of law firms. And I wanted to show you now, I'll try to figure out how to do it. But they have we used to call them tombstones. If you look on their website, it looks like they have 3 dozen tombstones of companies they've financed, and they don't do it in this crappy, corrupt, pass-through, Cheshire cat smiling Jeff Easton way. They do it legit. So my point is, I think that was filed on the 11th, last Monday. Typically, you get a response 5 to 7 days. Yes, it can take up to 27. Yes, it can take 10 days. By the way, when I say 5 to 7 in this context, I believe I'm talking about business days. So Monday to Monday comes here, and then a few days, might be tonight, might be tomorrow, might be Monday, might be Tuesday, and I think you get approval potentially for Finger, and we'll find out. We'll find out. I hope I'm totally wrong, seeing ghosts. Maybe what some people did to broadcast the strategy. And by the way, just also to be clear, he doesn't have the strategy exactly right. But anyway, to broadcast the essence of it and the secret sauce, hopefully that doesn't mean a thing. And hopefully with Finger, we could have some understanding of what might happen next week. I'm not saying anything will happen next week, but maybe next week, following week, that would be great. In terms of GTII, I think GTII will move if Finger moves. Right now, they're like two suns spiraling around each other. When one moves, the other moves. And in terms of Logic, imminent, any day, any day. any day. Why do I say that? They filed I'm getting all confused now, the S4 a year ago. There were 6470 comments from the SEC. The last comment was, how are you going to pay for it? Pull out your checkbook. And we saw announced, much to my chagrin, but I've come and told you, Walter, that I no longer believe that financing is toxic. I do believe it is just over the moon expensive, but it's finite. It's done. And I think it's a good. The choice was not taking financing. It's like getting hard money in real estate. The choice was not doing it, and it takes another 90 days. We're into next year. Everything falls apart. So I'm okay with that financing now. And the pain will be like ripping a Band-Aid off of your chest. It'll hurt, but then it's done. And there'll be no more hurt. So anyway, by arranging that financing, which was announced, that was the SEC's last issue. So, maybe there's some cleanup in the documents still to go. Maybe there's one last back and forth with the SEC. But I think you'll see approval very quickly. And I think at least two of those, you might get that kind of feedback next week. I want to see what not. If finger is turned into a cow, it will be catalyzed. What if it turned into a feline? I think this is right. I don't know if the voice is coming on because he's traveling, and he might, though. I think the siren call of, as soon as he lands, he's tired, gets home, looks at the dirty dishes in the sink, looks at the grass he needs to cut. He'll probably rather call in. And we'll be here. We'll be here for him. Finger will be okay in the end, with or without people commenting on Twitter. In Ham we trust, and he's working his butt off for us. Yeah, I think so. And I think it'll be okay. I think I have to be consistent in my comments. And just because I maybe react because I would never have done that, doesn't mean that I'm right. And I just don't really think Univest cares. I mean, we're like, they're the big dog walking into a room of cats, and, they don't care what the cats are doing. Any thoughts on why Finger is trading with 4 decimals? Seems like someone is desperate. Well, let me read what I heard. Yesterday's attack, this comes from The Voice, and he sent it to me. He said, yesterday's attack is probably a combination of naked shorting and fake long sales. Because they can't borrow stock. There's no stock to be available to borrow. So I think all the 4 decimals, to a skeptic like me, I think it involves communication. It is also the ability to trade in between. You might have a huge bid, and you can stick an order out there, and you're just a tiny bit ahead of it. It hides it, unless you have level 2. And then they can cross and do all their reindeer games in between the bid and the ask. I don't want to show you again because I'll bore everyone, but they can move unsettled trades from one LLC to another, from one prime broker to another. They collude with each other. They manipulate the price with each other. This is all illegal, but the SEC doesn't care. Doesn't care. Your broker dealer doesn't care. If you did it, you're off with the head. Off with the head, metaphorically. The shorts don't know the algorithm, so we should be good. That's it, maybe. See, you know more than I do, Martin, because I'm not a technical guy. But if you're going to catch somebody by surprise, I'd go ahead and catch them by surprise. Anyway, let's. Someone asked me, I'm answered, so it's asked and answered, and I'm going to stop keeping answering it because I could be a whole wrong. There are 105 broker dealers in MMTLP. That's what I heard too. Do I want to talk to him to get on the same page? Can't Avid connect you? Sure, Avid could connect me. I'm not sure he wants to talk to me, but I could talk to him. I'm not sure I want to, Scott, in terms of putting out information, which I told was highly confidential. I'm not going to get on that same page. I'm not going to agree that when I'm given information which is confidentially given to me, I'm not going to get on the same page that we should put it out there. But yeah, I have no problem talking with him, and it may turn out that he's I haven't said anything bad about him as a person. I'd really like to move on, but yes, I would be glad to talk to him and find out where he and I have common interests and where we can help each other. But I'll never go along with that. I don't kiss and tell. Yes, a broker dealer can just liquidate your account. Yes, Tom, they can, and they don't have to tell you. They also, which will surprise you, if we have a big prime brokers going down, if we, let's say, I know it doesn't seem possible, but it could happen. Let's say Goldman Sachs went down. It could cause broker dealers to fail. And what's going to shock you? They can take the assets in your account. Now you will have the ability to sue, and probably you would win, but it'll take months, if not years, to get that back. So we're just the fatted calf. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that topic. So we'll look for the news on your pension. I'll see it. The dictionary supports Saggy's vocabulary choices? The hell it does. But if it does, the English language is just because common usage has changed. And Saggy, there's people on one side who say you got to allow that. There's people on the other side that would like the English language to remain as we were taught. One of the worst worst abuses of the English language is him and her. Him being president, oh God, it's horrible. But it's all over now. It's all over everywhere. All right. Jennifer, I love this. Just bought Finger on the Dip. It's at $5. We all know why we're in there. The risk is it could take longer, but the reward is by buying now, we could be in a rocket. I can't say that. We're not allowed to say that anymore. But this will be like being on the roller coaster when it starts going up, that you've never seen anything like it if it happens. And the risk is it doesn't happen. But I think now's the time. If it ever were to go, it would be now. What did Richard say? Oh, that was terrible, JR says. Would you have a conversation so everyone is on the same page? Sure, I'll have a conversation with him. But I won't agree that putting out what I was told was confidential. I won't be on the page with that. But I can be on every other page. That's interesting. I like that. I don't do my job so I can keep my job. That's very good. You can ring my bell. RC La Bell. Can't wait for the show to start. Well, we think it's going to start. We have to realize it didn't happen last month, didn't happen the month before. And frankly, it might not happen this month, but everything's in place. Finger's going to, I think, have blowout revenues sort of end of this month. And the call options expire third week of October. Somebody said that the earnings release is October 15th instead of what I thought might be September 24th. But anyway, there's time for the calls. For you who own the stock, I think you're going to be nicely rewarded. If Trump finished his wall, always buy the elite stocks: Google, Finger, Apple, Novo, Microsoft, Alibaba, the elites. Yeah. Buck, I'm not going to read that out. This Hamid, I agree with. And if you only had to choose one for the moment, I think it would be Finger, just because the things are lining up and the pressure's building. But I like that you said "and," because I think they'll move together. We can, RC LaBelle, go over to Ace. I don't know if he's live, but if he started, he's very good, and I wouldn't blame you for listening to his live stream. Don't read Richard's jokes. It only encourages him. All right, Vansi, the con is the Lind clients can keep selling by hitting the F3 button. The pro is the hypothetical floor is $30 or higher without the squeeze. Vansi, I would give it for trading purposes. I would be very, just because we got burned last couple of months, I would tend to keep the lower end of your projections low. I haven't said this before, but based on what happened, I would just be careful. So I would say they could raise money anywhere from 15 to 30, but they could also raise money at $50 or higher. That's in their minds and in their head. Without the squeeze. Sorry, Yancy, I didn't mean to yawn. That'll be a little definitional. If it's Univest clients buying, is that a squeeze or is that just a lot of people buying? I'm going to say to answer your question, I'm going to say without the squeeze. Father Francis McCallaghy. Well, that's true, Vansi. I don't know who the next ticker will be for Univest, but I will suggest to everyone and just remind everyone that the CEO of Logic, the CEO of GoLogic, introduced Univest to finger motion. I think his line was something to the effect of, how would you like to be to work with a Chinese company that actually has good fundamentals? But anyway, of those two symbols, I don't know. No one's told me, but I know GoLogic has the Southeast Asian assets, and it was a distribution from Logic originally. So who knows? Maybe Univest comes to the playground with GoLogic. We have seen a perfect market maker communication with 505 share blocks on the last day of trading MMTLP, and there were too many. And they say we went for pump and dump. Well, yeah, they're going to try to make you, the retail investor, and me, the fall person, and sorry, thank you for letting me do that. I just want to get it off the desk in front of me. They're going to blame us, but you're absolutely right with your comment. Is there a ham call today? I don't know. Maybe later. I wouldn't be surprised if that dastardly ace who follows my every move. By the way, I'm following him right now. I signed up for StreamYard. So, and it's all in jest. But maybe if I'm not live, he'll go on with Ace later. Who knows? Who knows? Ace is a good man, and I think has your interests at heart. Does it really matter how many places beyond the decimal place you enter a GTC order? Well, I wouldn't go past. I mean, you can do that, but I wouldn't do it. What if you missed your order because you wrote sell at 25.2507 and it went to 25.25, 06? I just keep it simple. Just go 2 decimals. I don't know what he's agreeing with, but I'll take it. I don't think they'll trade again. And it's the wrong question. I'm trying to think how I can show you. Let's say in the accounts there were 665 million MMTLP, but MMAT distributed MMAT distributed 165 million shares of NextBridge. Those don't match. So then what you have 165 NextBridge at AST. And it's private. And I'm just making this number up, by the way, because it's easy for me to do the arithmetic. Then you have 500,000 MMTLP. But what is it? It's not NextBridge. It is not NextBridge. So MMTLP, you say, are now NextBridge? It's not. It's not NextBridge. The 500 that are remainder are not NextBridge. See, the system, as long as it's trading like this in an electronic form and there's failed to delivers, try to fail to deliver cash and they'll sell you out just like that. But but if you're a criminal, you can sell stock that you don't own. But as long as it's electronic in the system, you don't know, do I have the real shares? Is it real or is it Memorex? And frankly, you probably don't care because you see the black and white entry on your statement, you sell it, you get cash, and they just carry on the charade, which expands assets under management, in my opinion. But once 165 million go NextBridge go into American Stock Transfer, 500,000 shares of MMTLP aren't anything. They're just nothing. There's no CEO. There's no management team. There's no board of directors. There's no SEC. There might be SEC filings, but there's no cap table. There's no balance sheet. There's no ongoing operations. There's no assets. It's nothing. So when you say, will it trade again? It won't. I don't think it will trade again. And if it does, you better be darn sure careful that they don't fool you again. Fool you again. I think there's going to be a settlement. I don't think the smart guys on the other side will let it trade again. I think letting it trade again is what the shorts. It's not their number one desire, but it's pretty close to their desire. They would love it because imagine if you didn't sell. Imagine if the highest it went was, let's say, 5 cents, and you didn't sell. At the end, they'd say, "Hey, we gave you a chance to sell." Do I think finger squeeze will begin in the pre-market? I don't know. But Ham said the other day on the call, it could be up 60% pre-market. I don't know. My own opinion is there's not enough trading in the pre-market to make it relevant. But the better answer is I don't know. This is an important point, and this is, I guess, in defense of the gentleman, and that you might be right. You might be right. Skinny Whale's correct, and I misread the option train. I misread. Don't let the sun go down on me. Anyway, I certainly misread last week. I didn't think I thought they'd pin it at 7, not 6, and maybe go to 8. But you're right. Wherever the most premiums are, they'll take that on both sides. Hey, the real S swing. Sudden brokerage account seizure during a squeeze is your biggest fear. I don't think that'll happen. But if a broker-dealer went down, you might have a hard time getting at your assets. And just look what happened at, was it called Revco? The one run by Corzine? All of a sudden, he was moving assets to meet margin calls on trades gone wrong. Next week it begins. Here's Busy Brands. Hi, Busy. Just bought 25 shares for Lucky. Ah, that's great. Busy. Apparently he has he might have a bad tooth, and I've got a decision to make. Do you put him under anesthesia? Anastasia screamed in vain. If you do it, he might die. He might die. I have to decide. Good. RC LaBelle. Earnings are 10.16. That could be a trigger, and it could be the RC LaBelle. I think you're right. That could be all the data that major buyers would need. Trump needs to build the wall to keep Americans from leaving soon. Have to be a pretty tall wall. The wall just got 10 feet taller. I wonder why GTI insiders, I don't know who you are, sold stock at 80 cents. I just got here. Sorry if I missed it. I didn't know that. But what I assume without looking, and I'm not going to look right now, I can look later. What I assume is they awarded themselves a lot of stock, which is restricted. And they can sell 1% of that a month, 1%. And they've been doing it every month, whether the stock is at $3, 80 cents, $2. They can sell 1% a month. So I don't, you're saying, I wonder why they sold at 80 cents. I think it's just a monthly opportunity to get paid for what they do. I mean, to get cash. I know in this internet world, in the millennial world, the Generation X world, everything's for free. But, this team has been working on your side, and I think it's partly how they get paid. That's selling that one per. And you can tell me, BG, I don't know if you looked, but did they sell more than 1% of their holdings? JB, I believe the picture is a lot bigger than Finger and GTII. I believe that Goober Gary Gensler is trying to bankrupt small businesses and hold wealth within the 1%. Well, JB, I'm not, that may be. And I think that's what central bankers are doing, the elite are doing. But what I think's happening with the over-the-counter market is a robust over-the-counter market creates research firms, investment banks, retail clients, institutional clients who can fund new technologies, new ideas, new companies, like Microsoft, for example, way back when. Well, Goldman Sachs and their brethren, they want their buddies that wear red socks and the pinky on the outside finger, and they all have a secret handshake because they went to the whatever the fraternity was that focused on Wall Street jobs. They can control, for example, with Amazon or with WAG or with many of these rags to riches, it seems, stories. If Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of Merrill Lynch are the only bankers available, and they direct it to some of their buddies and clients who can provide the initial seed money, then the next round and the next round, then they can raise the price, the valuation as they go, almost at will, as long as certain metrics they decide are met. They can make their original investment go up 5x, 10x, 20x on paper, and their assets under management look like they're going up, and they get their fees. And then as the stock gets to its penultimate event, they can stuff those shares in an IPO into your retirement accounts and into your pension accounts, and that could be the high or maybe not. When Facebook came out, I think it was $38. It went down to 19, and now if you had hung on, it's great. But I really believe they do it. And Gary Gensler represents them. They do it so Wall Street has a monopoly on what Gary Gensler calls capital formation, and the over-the-counter markets. I pity the fool. I pity the fool. My prediction, pain. I pity the fool. Any CEO that goes on the over-the-counter market who needs funding needs his head examined or her head examined. No ham call today as far as I know. Did I see the GTII website is not working? No, but I would guess they're updating it. My ear's great, thank you. And later on I realized I stopped thinking that I was live, but the pain was so intense. The reason I was breathing like that, I didn't want damage to happen. And, it worked. That oxygen worked. So sorry for that. Sorry. That was a lot of unnecessary drama. With all my confident information, do you feel Finger and GTI will moon by the end of the year? No, I don't. I assume you mean confidential information, and I really don't believe I have material material information in either case. I can assure you that I have no material information as it regards Finger and Univest. I don't have, any material information that hasn't already been disclosed. Uh, I mean, that one little bit, which I kept to myself, that's been disclosed now. In my judgment, if you put it out on the Twitter feeds, that's a lot of disclosure. So no, and I don't have any inside track on GTII. So no, the beginning of your statement, I don't have confidential information that you don't know. And do I think it'll moon? Both will moon by the end of the year. I can't say that either. I think the odds are Finger will have an uplift in price over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Will it moon? Whatever moon means, that's yet to be seen. GTII, I would think, would would see. I think I signed up for StreamYard and I paid extra, but I don't think I'm getting the features. Or maybe I have to have Chrome as my. I don't know. I got to figure it out. But anyway, I don't know that either is going to moon, Vauncey. So my gut tells me, unless the lawyers at Univest say there's too many eyes on this, I think Finger's going to have a nice chance at a significant run shortly. The stock has traded that way for at least 4 or 5 months. Somebody's been buying. So of the two, I think Finger's going to move first. And as I've said repeatedly, they seem to be tied at the hip. So GTI will move too. Ace won't be on tonight because there's a 49ers game. Time to hatch my perfect plan. I can come on tonight and steal all his customers. Couldn't agree with you more, T-Rup. Couldn't agree with you more. Finger Motion's website is working. Somebody says sooner than we expect. I don't know when you expect it, but I believe, as I've said earlier, that with the team of attorneys who have great relationships at the SEC by definition, I mean, the number of tombstones on Univest's site is impressive. It could happen tonight, the approval, but I'm not saying it. I have no. If it happens tonight, it's just because I'm putting 2 and 2 together. No one's told me it's happening tonight. I don't, David, I'm reading that as a positive for an investor, and that's great, but I'm too slow to understand what it means. Everything okay with GTII and finger? It's a detailed question. Very little change. Yeah, I think maybe I have to sign back in, because I'm upgraded my thing, but this might be the free version, because there's a lot of functionality that doesn't seem to be there, even though I paid for it. Hi, Sada Aman. Peace to you. Last trading day in MMTLP, we were seeing, I don't know what that means. That's impossible. It wasn't trading at 4,000 a share. There's a good point. If I recall, there was no leverage in the VW squeeze. Finger may be bigger. Ham hasn't tweeted in 5 hours. He's busy. Are you having withdrawals? He was traveling. And who knows, when you come home after a trip, your family might require a little attention too. Deacon Blues, William, I'm curious. Yes, you are. To me, you're really curious. Just kidding. When logic converts into ASPA, if there are any naked counterfeit shares, won't the shorts? Yeah, but it's really weird. I've wrestled with that. In other words, if you go from, I should have made more of my stupid little cards, but if you go from, do I have it here? Here it is. If you go from logic and you put the data logic into the Aubrey SPAC as a private distribution, conceptually, you're taking the company logic and you're just taking out a division and distributing it for $114 million to Aubrey SPAC. I'm not sure there's anything to deliver in that case, because collectively the company will distribute data logic. So I don't think the shorts are responsible for anything there. But then when you're broke, when the Aubrey SPAC shares are trading, I think the broker dealers will then have to true it up, but they may, the magic of modern fake accounting in the U.S. securities markets, they'll just have an ongoing exposure maybe. This is how the shorts think. I think it's much more likely there's not going to be a lot of stock trading in ASPA, at least initially. I think the ASPA, anyone short that are going to have to buy. Regardless of how the shorts are analyzing it, I think they are going to have to cover in the shell, simply because there's going to be, in all likelihood, a company with great revenue and cash flow reverse mergering into that shell. So their calculus that, hey, it's a shell, it doesn't have anything, we can drive it down to 5 cents, will be all wrong. But yeah, Deacon, I go back and forth trying to understand if I'm missing something, because I thought exactly the way you did. They're going to have to, it's like a special dividend. But if you understand the distinction I'm making, logic isn't distributing data logic on a per share basis. They're not dividing it out. They're just selling the whole division as a private company to Aubrey SPAC. So I'm not sure they're responsible for counterfeit shares to Aubrey SPAC at all. I think where the counterfeiting becomes a problem is in the back offices at the broker-dealer. TAA Strupp, I think it will never trade. Yeah, that's probably right. Ace is the next generation to you and him. I don't know. I think Ace, is now. He's this generation. He's a fast study. He's a great communicator. He has your interests in heart, and he's a compassionate guide as we all learn what's going on in the U.S. markets. Joel Dawes, Fidelity wouldn't let you buy and you had to pay more. Well, my experience over the last couple of days was really expensive and I was annoyed. But Joel, by being a retail investor, which we all are, the friction, the cost of trading and moving money in the market is massive compared to institutions. So as Gary Gensler says, it's a level playing field. He must play his games on the side of a mountain. Mark, I don't know the answer, but a website going down or being remodeled or whatever, I don't see the connection with trouble with the company. I really don't. So let's just wait and see what happens when they open it back up again. Maybe they're changing providers. Maybe there's an update on Trento Mines and they have to update the website. I don't know. Or maybe it's just ho-hum boring, but I don't think not having a website live 24/7 means anything as to the underlying situation. Dos Equis, all I can say is the Kramers and Lind are getting a lot of help from other. Absolutely. Look, I think the Kramers and Lind partners are fronts for Wall Street. For Wall Street. I agree with that. Oh, hi, Lamar. I remember you very well. It's nice seeing you again. I want to say you're from Tennessee, but it might have been New Orleans. But I remember meeting you. You might have given me a card, which I have to locate, but it was very nice to meet you. And I enjoyed it very much. You were a gentleman. And thank you for coming on. We'll meet again, I hope, when you're rich, richer than you already are. Sadaman, I already said hi, but am I going backwards? But I love saying hi to you again, Sada. Finger getting hit now. Finger gonna blow. It was a small amount. I think 4 sold. Yeah, it's small. They're doing it every month. So, I mean, you might not like it, but it doesn't say there's suddenly something wrong with the company. It means they're taking cash out. They got wives, they got husbands, they got bills to pay. Finger 489. Well, I really think, Jack, and everyone here, that probably we shouldn't be watching Finger's price until the S3 is approved. The $300 million shelf registration said specifically in the registration, this is preliminary. This does not allow us to raise money unless we provide a sub prospectus. I forget what they called that. An additional prospectus. And once that's approved, we can sell that amount. Well, they did provide that. That was for $25 million. They used the example of $6 a share. I mean, it's reading tea leaves. But if they were to raise $25 million above market, which is what it said in the thing, it would be $5 a share. And let's just say, Jack, that they filed that on the 11th. 5 to 7 days later is today, tomorrow, Monday. Let's just say they get approval and they're ready to go. And it says in that document that if Finger chooses to use an agent, I can't remember if that's the word it says, but whatever. If they use Univest to raise $25 million, they're going to issue the shares directly to Univest, and then Univest can provide. They're also, it's as a sales agent, they get 2.5%. I'll have to print those pages out. I really was hoping today, because I did pay for it, to be able to go through that with you. And what I'm thinking is maybe I have to re-sign in, which isn't good English, to somehow upgrade. I don't know. It's too confusing. MMAT will never go bankrupt. I am the owner. Are you really? Luke, I am your father. This is a good point. Entire market is getting hit at the moment. Our moment in history is very near. It's actually not a bad point. If there's pressure in the brokerage firms, they're going to cover these shorts. Since the run could happen at any time, it would behoove all of us to be logged on during pre and after markets. Can you trade pre and after? Somebody said I can enter some sort of code maybe, but as far as I know, I'm not allowed to trade pre or after. Maybe I can, like I just said, get permission. The bad mamba jamba is going to happen during the day. Don't be dumping on my Red Sox. Well, I can't think of any players on the Red Sox right now. Isn't that amazing? They're a great franchise. Which broker is most likely to go down during the squeeze? I would go with Wells Fargo first and JP Morgan second. And Goldman Sachs third. But I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't think any major brokerage house is going to go down. Broker dealer, I don't think any major one's going to go down during the squeeze. But I think you could see prime brokers like Alpine or prime brokers like, is it called Virtue or something? Those smaller ones go down. But I'm not expecting one of the major brokers to go down in a squeeze and finger. Jeffries maybe, but you'll start seeing it before we know it. You'll start seeing it reflected in the prices of those brokers. But if I had to pick vulnerability, that'd be mine for squeezes. J.P. Morgan is notorious for. Did I get wax out of my ear? Get the wax out of your ear. I have an eyesight appointment tomorrow. I had my physical on Monday, and maybe I'll go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I can try to set that up. Maybe they can make my nose look more appropriate for my face. Oh, Fred Jones. I'll leave that up so people can read it. Roger. Absolutely. Ham yesterday met with a large buyer who may buy 1 million shares next week. And this guy has that kind of money, and I think he probably will. So you're saying there's a chance. Roger. Chosen one, will the approval be released in a Puerto Rico, or is that something that just occurs? The approval will probably be noted as an 8K or whatever on Edgar. I'm not sure there'll be a PR on it. The company isn't here to make us money, and it's unless we're a shareholder. But I mean as trading, and I don't see any advantage to Univest that it would be published as a PR. I don't think it'll be a press release. Lamar, I was in DC for Mardi Gras. What's the best way to get in touch with me? Lamar, I think Busy Brands, or maybe I have to make a commitment to learning how to use direct messages. I'm also thinking, Lamar, of creating a new email specifically for this. As you can tell, I'm trying to experiment with making the experience better. There is an offering of a private company that I'd like to make available to accredited investors. It's related. It's a oil and gas technology company, but I think it's, I hope to invest in it, and I've known one of the principals for 25 years, and I'd like to. I don't have enough of the details I can share yet, but it's a small raise. I think they're going to raise $1.5 million. But when they do either sell the company or go public, I would expect a 4 to 5 times return if it's done quickly, but it could be significantly higher. It's a great company, great technology. And as oil prices are higher, they're going to be in a lot of demand. I'll be able to describe it. But anyway, my point is I wanted to create an email so if I ever talk to you guys about it, people could email me and say, hey, I'm accredited. And then I, of course, would have to. And by the way, whilst I would like to set up some sort of vehicle that you would invest through me and then I'd put the investment together somehow, that's one way, but the other way would be just to introduce you directly to the company. Either way, it'll be if I do it, it'll be a pass through. Anyway, long way of saying, Lamar, I'm going to try to set up a way to communicate. Maybe I'll make that my goal tonight. Come up with a Gmail or a Yahoo account that I can publish and people can use. Maybe it'll be. I'll think of it. I'll get one. I'll get one, Lamar. Arca says look for 430 to 460 bottom. I think he said that on Monday, and maybe he's right. But if the S4 or S3, S1, whatever the hell gets approved, I wouldn't think there'd be a bottom like that. But there could be if it takes a while to get there. AST don't work. So this is the free version. So I signed up for free, and then I paid money. I'm going to have, I hate technology. I'm going to have to find out. I upgraded, but it doesn't seem to be reflected in my ability. So I'm going to have to study it. And I hate listening to techies tell me how to do techie. Thank you, Jeff, for responding. And Jeff, I admit that I may have overreacted. I don't think so, but that's just my point of view, and I could be wrong. Yeah, Roger. The 8K does say that it's the sales agent. They're going to be paid 2.25% or 2.5%. But if you read the document, and I don't have it in front of me, so I can't remember the exact language. It says if it gives all sorts of ways where they can act on the shelf registration. If they use a banker, basically, they'll issue the shares directly to the banker, Univest, and then Univest can issue them out. And it may be as simple, even though it's being paid both ways, that Univest buys it. I'm making it up. 5 million shares at $5, and then if the stock were to go to 50, they do another offering at $50, and insiders can get, the people that bought at 5 can get out of part of their position at 50. New money goes to Finger, and those are both organized by Univest, and Univest gets 2.5%. I'm going to have to read it again, but I really don't want to do it right now. I'll print it out and do it. But you are correct. No, Martin Shen has not come into this space or a space call. But if I could somehow access my computer, you can go to YouTube or Google. Martin has, I would say, at least a dozen, if not 20 interviews out there where you can hear his thoughts. And his most recent one either was an earnings call or it was with one of the emerging growth company conference promoters. Excellent. Very, very, just Google finger motion Martin, Martin, Shen, Chen. Hustle and Heart. When do you think the timeline is for the S3? Tonight. tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I think it's imminent. It's day to day, but I don't have any. No one's called me to tell me that. But Hustle and Heart, I think the typical approval is 5 to 7 days. Even though if you go to the SEC website, they have up to 27 days. And a lot of people say 10 days. Those are business days. So 2 weeks basically is a fairly normal thing. Sorry. I'm really sorry. I apologize for coughing. So they filed their S3 on the 11th last week. This week's Monday, that's 5 days or 7, but 5 business days. This coming Monday will be 10. So I think 5 to 7 days, we're there right now. We're in the 5 to 7 days right now. In the sort of within 10-day time frame, we're there right now too. But Monday is the 10th day. And if you argue that it could take up to 27 days, I would argue back that it's not going to take anywhere near 27 days because of the volume of IPOs, corporate actions, secondaries, placements, which Univest does, and the high quality of attorneys they have. This is a $150 billion company. They don't stand in the passport line that we stand in. They go into the diplomatic line and they get right through. So I think, what's the rest of your question, Hustle? And do you think that will cause the short squeeze, or will there be some time until this affects the stock finger? I think before October is possible, but I think it might be. I think it might be optimistic. It's guesswork, Hustle and Heart. But if they've done all this work, the due diligence, paid so much money, this is what they do. Once the S3, S1, S4, whatever the hell S3 is approved, why wouldn't they get to action right away? It's not like with a battery of attorneys, I assume, with the money they have. It's not like they need more time. So, Hustle and Heart, that was a long answer, but I'm going to say any day now, tonight, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you could see that S3 approved. And I think the next day, whatever they have in mind might begin. Not legal advice. Univest has done many deals, and this should be cat-tacular. Oh no, he didn't say that. This should be no different. William Wide, can accompany not the man from Wide? Why can a company not the man from DTCC share count? It's their shares. Well, you would think that, but the company gets information from Wall Street doesn't want anybody to know. But what the company gets, and I don't have it here. I guess it's in my files. But what the company gets is and they can get it at any time. The CEO they can get a record from the DTCC that says you have 50 million shares outstanding here at the DTCC registered. And a million shares belongs to Captain Crunch. 500,000 shares belongs to Amelia Earhart. 250,000 shares belongs to Secretariat, and 100,000 5 different times belong, or 7 different times belong to the 7 dwarfs. And that's all recorded, and you can see it. Then it'll say 10 million belong to Merrill Lynch, held in street name for their customers. 15 million belong to E-Trade or Morgan Stanley, held in street name for their customers. That's all the CEO knows. CEO cannot break down the wall of the brokerage firm, and that's where the fraud occurs. That's where the fraud occurs. Well, isn't it interesting, social watch only? The SEC doesn't care. But you can buy once, basically, unless you have more money. Who is selling all these millions of shares? Apparently 15 million shares is held by one guy or very close group of people. Borders apparently represents 2 million shares, or so it said. That's 17. I can add up in my head another potential 500,000 to 1 million. That's 18. I'm sure that this guy who is considering buying 1 million on Monday already has some shares, but maybe it's part of the 15, so I'll leave that out. There's other wealthy buyers. There's this whole group here. So I added up to 18. Let's just say there's 2 million more out there that I can't exactly place, but we're pretty confident people have bought shares, whales and smaller. So that's 20 million. There's 24 million at the DTCC. So the SEC is not curious at all. None of you are selling. None of the whales are selling. The closed people aren't selling. So every week, millions of shares are sold. Where are they getting it? They're not. The SEC doesn't care. But no one's lending out their shares per instructions that Ham makes clear. No one. And no one is selling that is in this story right now. Maybe there's a little bit, like you pointed out. There might be a tiny bit. But there's nothing significant. So where do these sellers get their shares from? They don't. They counterfeit them. And Gensler just doesn't care. He's going to root out fraud wherever it exists, unless it benefits Goldman Sachs, unless Goldman Sachs is doing it, and unless it's the over-the-counter markets. Oh, God, Jeff. You want me to read that document? I'm not going to do it, Jeff. I'm sorry. I'll do it tonight, and I'll either do a short video on it, or tomorrow I'll be able to answer that question for you. I think Univest can act in more than one capacity in this transaction. That's my opinion. And they're delineated there. It's not either or. They can check more than one box. Dow is down 334. It's not a big move, I don't think, but used to be. Where is Jeff? He would say, the more I hear about Univest, the less I like them. The more I hear about Univest, the more confident I am they're going to drop the hammer on Lind and trigger a squeeze. Well, 2 points. I think it's Lind's clients your point is it's a distinction without a difference to your point, but I just felt I would make it. They have 4 clients they syndicated it to, but it doesn't change anything. In terms of a squeeze, it may very well trigger a squeeze. But I'm not sure that's how to say this. I think they'd appreciate that if it happened, perhaps, but I'm not sure that's their only end result. It could just be a really nice move in the stock based on revenues, based on their due diligence, based on what they might do if they raised 150 million. I mean, what could they do if they raised, let's say they raised 150 million? My guess is Univest might have a portfolio company for the worst word in the English language, synergies. I hate that word, but anyway. Barbara must be skinny if she has genes older than Ace, or she's just saving them for memories. But now that you mention it, time is a weird experience. I always walk around now in amazement at when I look at really young people. I was there. They have so much ahead of them. Frankly, at any age, you've got things ahead of you you don't understand. Key, I see GTII's website going down as a good sign. I would guess they have something to say. Yeah, I'll get right on that website. VO Warrior, I want William to use his vast technical expertise to solve the issue. Not legal advice. I hope Univest makes billions and billions on Finger. You sound like Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan? Does that mean we're screwed? One, I forget what I was talking about, but I don't see any situation right now that you're going to be screwed in any of the more prominent stocks that we've talked about. Louisiana, it was Louisiana. I must be way behind on these, but Louisiana, yeah. I guess we'll be holding on until the I don't know. You don't have to hold on. It's not diamond hands. All right, in January, I assume to celebrate the same thing. I'll be around, and I'm getting rounder. I've worked with large Chinese firms, and I'm not saying they're all the same, but they definitely do not tolerate forkers screwing with their business. Roger. I also like to live dangerously. I've done business with Chinese investors too, and yeah, I think they're great, and but they are serious about it, and they pay a lot of attention. So, William, when you were in the pit as a money manager, was there a certain candle structure or pattern that gave you guys where the stock was going to? Skinny, I trained at Merrill Lynch, and it was good training. And I can't remember all the people's names. I know the head of training thought I looked like a Kennedy, and she always treated me great when I walked in. I had a big head of hair and a smile. And so I got a nice treatment every single day. I forget her name. She was great. D. Laird Blue was the guy in charge. I remember that name out of nowhere. And I'm trying to remember the gentleman that came in and taught us. We had Bob Farrell came in. There's a guy that came in and taught us about SUDS, but I don't remember what it stood for. Stress, and I don't remember the rest of it. But he was warning us not to drink, because as soon as you start drinking, you'll find yourself drinking with the guys every night. You know, go work out. And he had a point. But anyways, there was a gentleman that came in. And I just can't, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. But he came in over several days. And what he taught us to do was to follow many analysts, many technicians, get your research from all sources, which is and was my habit. So he really strongly recommended following the hot hand. My belief is, unless you have an inside track, and I had some investors that had really good strategies, big investors, and they had an angle that they could count on over and over and over again. Just like the shorts now count on the angles that they have over and over and over and over again. It's really hard to trade the market. And even the big boys get blown up. It's really hard. It's nice to have an edge. And anyway, I used to focus more on the fundamental story, and I would follow analysts who, both in-house and out, who understood a specific special situation or a specific industry. And then I would use the technical analysis, not the other way around. That was me. A lot of the people I worked with just ignored research completely, just absolutely ignored it. I remember one guy, his name was Mike Madius. He used charts, and he was charting Chrysler when Chrysler, is, to my memory, so long ago, was $1.50. And he said, the charts tell you to start buying. I thought he was crazy. Well, he was right. That stock went to 30 or 40 bucks. So anyway, some people just use the technical charts. I'm amazed how accurate Avid and ARCA can be and have been, and other technicians. But I've always been skeptical about technical analysis. I told the story once, but my manager was a gentleman named David Lefebvre, great, really avuncular guy, big. He had been a Marine. He had been a White House guard, and he married Don T. Reagan's daughter. And he had a great office, and but he would hold I want to say weekly. It might have been monthly. It's so long ago, but we had blackboards back then. We didn't have these kind of computers, but he'd hold sessions for guys like me and girls like me. A lot of women. Our training classes were easily could have been 50% women. Um, uh, but anyway, he would hold the classes, and it was all technical analysis. And I remember the one time I had a client, huge position in Apple. We were trading back and forth on Apple, selling calls, buying calls, and I was basically a kid. He was Saudi, great guy, great guy. But I asked, well, Mr. Lefebvre, how do you see Apple trading? And to my memory, it was $34. And we had a position of, I want to say 100,000 shares, which for me, that was a lot of money. It might have been shares and calls. I don't remember, a long time ago. And he said, well, let's see. And we had the chart books. We all did. He pulled out the chart book and he drew it on the blackboard. He says, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, from 34, I'd say it's going to 46. And I said, great, David, thank you. And so I told my client the next week or the next month, whenever, I think it was weekly. The next week I came in, the stock had collapsed to 20 or 22. I said, I raised my hand when it was my turn. I said, Mr. Lefebvre, what do you think of Apple? It's trading at 22. Well, I'd say, I said, I bought it, or I held it at 44. Well, he said, you should have sold. It counts, boom, 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 and it brought, and I was like, oh, okay, I should have sold. You told me last week it was gone. I don't trust technical analysis all by its lonesome. I just don't trust. To me, big movements in the stock change the whole technical analysis. I've had so many technical analysts say, oh, well, now this chart's saying this and this. So call me highly respectful to the science of it, and I listen with a critical ear, but it's not the only thing. It's not the only thing I look at, and you can only judge. You've seen me be wrong. All right. Deacon Blues, I will get closer to the bottom. I've got to learn this. The one I was using before, it scrolled automatically, so it forced me to be current. Vansi, Martin Chen sold. I don't know. I never looked. He exercised employee options. I don't necessarily believe that exercising options means he sold the stock, but it's a logical conclusion. I do know that exercising employee options, he has a responsibility to pay his taxes, and I think the service he uses may have sold stock to pay those taxes just as a policy. But Fonzie, I don't know. It doesn't alarm me that he sold. He didn't. Is the implication that the CEO of Finger, who's been working for 8 years, exercises a minor portion of his employee options, and that's because he's making a statement to the world that he thinks there's trouble in Finger stock? I don't think so. Vonsi, Dozier said 25th is the latest it gets approved. Well, I suppose that's possible. That would be the latest. Personally, today's the 20th or the 21st. Yeah, I'd say that's reasonable. I think it could be sooner than that, though. You guys, you got to remember, Univest probably has the best lawyers that money can buy out of New York City, where the girls are pretty. And they've done so many deals with the SEC. It must be like, hey, Susan, how's it going? How's your mother doing? How are the kids? Did you buy that new uh, computer you were looking at? You know, that's it. Nobody cares about you but your mother, and she may be jiving too. November calls at 8. Wow, Skinny Whale. I like that trade. 60 calls November. I like that. People do not realize Fidelity is a private company. Wow. I bet Abigail isn't married, or if she is, she has a prenup. Yes, best way to sell finger shares is with a limit order, but not a stop loss order. Not a stop loss order. Just just do that in your head. All right, I'll get down there. All right, how about this? That says 350. I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to go to the bottom and back to the top and do it again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I'm going to the bottom and I'll work my way up. I've got to learn how to do it. Hawkeye. I picked up some at 486. Awesome. 7% up. After hours, 519. It's the same pattern. It's always the same pattern. It's the same pattern. Relax, everyone. TA doesn't predict the future. It is kind of a tool for managing risk. But you know what it really is? It's a way of measuring group psychology. And then that's a bit of information you have. That's a bit of information you have. I, I don't know why the camera went off. A phone call came in. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, 432 S3. Some say if the market tanks, margin calls will force covering of shorts. Yes. Well, there will be MH. There will be stocks, good stocks that go down, but we're in the SHIT stocks, and the opposite should have happened. When the broker dealers and the prime brokers are feeling stress on their capital, they're going to cover. They're going to ask for covering. If they thought they could win, they would let it go up. A phone call came in and I tried to handle it, and it all went black. RNVA closed at 0. I'm sure it'll be delisted. But guess what happens, Wayne? And those people made a ton of money. That recommendation by Lou, I don't know if Lou knew it, but those people stripped all of us of money. And while each of us maybe lost a few hundred, they were able to trade and trade and trade. And oh my gosh, they were making 100% on their money. And they went home. And the thing on Wall Street, if they have a big week, a big month, they make $2 million. Once it's printed and paid out, that trade's gone. It's never revisited again. And so, yeah, they'll delist that. That'll be delisted, in my opinion. And there'll be no taxes paid, no 1099. How do I measure myself with other golfers? Well, that's right. I wanted to call John Berta, but it was 95, roughly 90, 100,000 shares, 98,000, 95,000 shares as an option. It's exercised. And what they report is that sale for tax purposes, as I said before. I think he needs to get a different reporting service and a different withholding service. But maybe, it might have been as simple as the options were going to expire and he had to exercise them. But it's so weird how the shorts get that news out on the last day of the month and then it hurts the stock. And it's a complete misreading of the situation, but by then the options have expired. I'm telling you, Wall Street's tentacles, the shorts tentacles are everywhere. This is a business that benefits the big funds. And the big funds are Goldman Sachs's clients, and the chairman of the SEC is Goldman Sachs. I love that. That's a nice trade, Hawkeye. Well, I'm echo my understanding in China, short selling is not allowed. And if you were to do it, you're in trouble big time. Big time. It doesn't happen. Only the United States has some sort of sickness that we don't seem to have to follow the laws of physics. October 6s look good. Fidelity is private. All right. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I agree with that. Are you saying the guy's name was Blue from old school? Yeah, it was Blue was his last name. He was, all I remember back then, everybody's shoes shone like a mirror, and they wore the best suits, and it was, what's this? If you want, I'll help you set up a website for Reg CF, Regulation Crowd Fund, for your buddy in the, that'd be great. Jeff, that'd be great. I'd have to think through. I think if I do it through, let's say, my company, or I set up a special LLC, the advantage would be that I can, he's not going to want a bunch of small orders, but I could bring in a bunch of small orders and it's one ticket to him. And then I'm the accredited party. I'm the company that takes responsibility. Anyway, there's an attorney out in Denver that I just have to make the phone calls, but it'll be something that I believe in very. I do believe in very much, and I think it'll be a way for some of you to participate in a private placement that makes a lot of sense. All right, there's no way I'm ever. Well, that's true. That's true too. How will we find out the S3 is approved? It'll spin around Twitter so fast to make Yabba the Hutt's head spin. But I think it'll be on Edgar first. I'm not reading that out loud. I felt like we had momentum, then it's lost, Ryan. I agree with you. And that was something I was frustrated with. But no, I don't. Yeah, we'll have to rebuild momentum, but sentiment can change instantaneously. And I just don't think, as much as we think we're, and we are a force, but in this specific case, I think if you read about Univest, they have so much capital behind them. They have a network of retail and high net worth investors. I think they can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in less than 30 seconds. What? AONC merged with DTOC and became NWBO tapped $1 today. Well, it was lower, but I kind of like the potential of that story. I bet it goes back down. They'll screw with it. But Scott, I kind of like the idea that it'll be bought out, and then it doesn't matter what the shorts do. Univest gets a cap raise for Finger with the tremendous fundamentals. That's exactly right. Well, that you should print that out and put it in a frame above your toilet in the basement. It's not worth talking about. Write it off, RNVA. Just write it off. Some say if the market tanks, okay, we already read that. So luckily, my comments when my stream froze or whatever it did, all the other comments disappeared, so I can't read them. Weren't I a museum board member? I was voted off. The two of us were voted off. Both white males, one straight, me, and the other may not. I'm a gringo, and the other guy, extremely gringo-ish, I think, but also fluent in Spanish. Great guy, and an a banker. But these sticklers for the rules said that we had both overserved our terms. In my case, I had been a member for probably 16 years. And in the other guy's case, I think, I don't know, 25 years or more. So we have 24 seats. I think at the time we had 11 board members, but they still thought the best strategy was to have us step down for 2 years. We can be re-nominated in 2 years. So I'm not a member of the board. I still love the museum. I still intend to donate, and I'd like to help them. But, there's nothing worse in my experience than helping someone that they don't want your help. It's nothing worse. I argued, I was surprised because they could have, anyway, that happened a year ago about, and they asked me to join an advisory board or something. And I'm still on one advisory board as far as I know, but I've never been invited to another meeting, and maybe I won't be, but yeah, I'm not on it. I really enjoyed being on that board. Can I tell my story for you? Chris, it's not that interesting. I think it was Drew and somebody else, I can't remember who, did an interview with me. It's an hour long, and people listened to it. I think it's out there somewhere. About a year ago. I don't know where it is, but I did one. But the only person less interested in my story than me will be you. Alan Courtson, any news about Logic? Well, I think unfortunately for people who want to roll, I think it's the same story. Change a few of the names and few of the places, and the story is the same one. I think I'm trying to remember what it is. I think it's an S4. I think the S4 will be approved tonight, tomorrow night, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Just like, it's almost identical. And at that point, whenever that approval comes, you're going to see a proxy period start for Aubrey SPAC and a proxy period start for Logic. Both, I think, already have the votes locked up. I would imagine it's about 10 days. So if we assume, just for sake of argument, that approval, and I'm just going to pick it, approval comes tomorrow, that would be sort of October 2nd or 3rd would be the end of the proxy voting period. And by the way, I'm picking tomorrow. If it's next week, you got to move all this back. But then you got to add that after the votes are approved, and you got two different sets of votes. So let's just say it takes until October 5th, for sake of argument, to finish the votes, the proxy. Then they have to set a record date, and maybe the record date is the 9th of October, and the effective date is the 11th. But it could be after the vote that you have to set your record date 10 more days. Let's assume that. After the vote, let's assume it's another 10 days. So if we say the 5th, let's just, for sake of trying to be conservative, that the record date would become October 16th, and then the effective date would be maybe October 19th. Something like that. So I think that's the time frame you're seeing. But what'll happen during the proxy period, you're going to see clarity that you can't believe will happen. You'll see clarity in terms of what the deal is. You'll see clarity in terms maybe of what maybe a reverse merger into the shell looks like. You'll see clarity perhaps about additional transactions, perhaps. But you'll start seeing some clarity once the proxy period starts, and certainly after the vote has happened. And what happens with clarity? It reduces uncertainty. What happens when uncertainty is reduced? Prices tend to go up. So I think you're in a situation where you can buy Logic at 20 cents, or you can wait and buy it at 40 cents when everything is finally approved. So, Alan, I don't have any specific news, but just to repeat myself from earlier in the call and last night, the delay of the last couple of weeks is that the SEC came back to the company and basically said, we're ready to go to contract. Where's your proof of funds? And I've gone through it. I don't want to bore people, but they did a financing. We read about it. It's out on in the public information, and it's expensive. But as soon as it's done, it's over with. There's no lingering effects. It hurts once in terms of being expensive, but it allows Logic to move forward with all these plans that have been going on for over a year, and it allows both Logic and the perhaps, depending on what the reverse merger is into Logic Shell, but it allows the Data Logic Aubrey SPAC part, which will be called Collective Audience. I think they have one or two or three even deals to roll into that. So it's going to, clarity's coming, excitement's coming, and I think price movement should come, value will come, but I think price movement should come by the end of the year. It's possible that the shorts continue to sell the stock, Alan, because Data Logic is being distributed as a private company. It's not something the shorts owe. So I think they'll just sell the Logic thinking they can drive it down to 5 cents or 10 cents because it's just a shell. So hopefully the company will be able to announce a candidate who will reverse merger into the shell. And what better time after the S4 is approved? We'll find out. We'll find out. It is sad that there are a lot of people right now on Twitter saying that you guys are pumping the stock. Do you think they work for Lind? What is their mission? Well, Matt, I don't really care if anybody buys the stock. If people think I'm pumping it and they're long the stock, sell the stock. If you think it's a pump and dump, buy puts. I really don't care if people buy it. I do want to see people fight against the fudsters and the evil of people who take the sides of the criminals. I don't know how they live with themselves, but they do. Wall Street's just about money. Wall Street's just about money. They'll lie to your face. And I'd repeat something that Ham said yesterday. If we're pumpers, we're not very good at it. We're not very good at it. I would put out there something that I've said all along. I think the pumpers in Finger are Jeff Easton and Philip Vallier, who smile and tell the CEO, we're going to raise money. We're glad, publish that we're glad to be with you. That's the pumping. And as even before the ink hits the document, during the document, after the document, regardless of a 6-month restriction, I think the dumping starts, which Jeff Easton is completely in knowledge of or should know. He should know his customer. He should know what his customer's doing with the stock they give. And he does know. But the dumping comes from the criminals. That's the dumping. And if they're out there, as much as I think it's a waste of time and I wouldn't enjoy it, I'll go down to the SEC. I'll go into FINRA. I'll go to the NASDAQ. I'll bring my statements. You guys bring your statements. We'll see who's dumping. We'll see who's dumping. I don't know what to do about it. Lou knew for sure. Lou knew what? Lou knew. Lou knew. Who knew? Hey, the Grizz. Sam O. Sam O. Ace at least does wear it well. You wear it well. Yeah, Ace is there's a lot of great people, including almost all of you. There's some of you I wonder if you're just robots, but this is, we're all part of something which gives renewed hope in the American idea. Southeast, let me get it, Southeast Oklahoma. I hope you're having thank you, John Horton, thank you. I've been to Oklahoma. Hi, William. Is it normal for such low volume and Go Logic right there? I'm holding 23,000 shares. Ted, I don't think you should sell. Let me repeat something to you, Ted. The CEO of Go Logic and the CEO of Logic is currently the same person, Brent Sun. And Brent Sun introduced Univest to Finger Motion. It's a fact check. So if you put 2 and 2 together, if you put two and two together, does Univest owe Brent a favor? Had Univest been working with Brent for some time? Is Univest knowledgeable about Go Logic and Logic? And then, which company is it more logical that Univest might be backing? Maybe both. But remember, with Logic, you already have Albry SPAC handling the lion's share of the event there. So my guess is, Ted, and it purely is a guess at this point, but my guess is, and I'm judging it on a little bit of body language. My guess is Univest is going to come in a little bit on Go Logic too. Timing, I think Logic is now, Go Logic maybe. Well, Ted, you saw the proxy process is already in place for RCRT. That's part. They're distributing all their fintech business into RCRT. So that's going on right now. But where I'm hesitant a little bit with Go Logic, I don't know what they're doing with the shell. I have a pretty good idea what's happening with the shell in Logic. But Ted, there's no stock. Both on the Aubrey's backside for Logic, which is going to be the where the most value is, there's very little stock. Aubrey's SPAC is maybe 1 million shares, 2 million shares right now. And they're going to issue 11 million, 11.4 to Logic to receive Data Logic. And we get, I'm as I'm talking, I'm losing the mechanics. But the point is that's locked in stone. So afterward, you're going to have maybe 12 to 13 million shares outstanding of collective audience. That financing that happened, I think that'll be another couple of million shares. And it might come all back into the market. But I don't think we necessarily are going to get all of our shares right away. Could take a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. So when it's announced, Aubrey's SPAC, there's only, I don't know, 1 or 2 million shares, and there might be shorts there. So Aubrey's SPAC, there's not many shares. Go Logic, there's not many shares. There's just not many shares out there. There's shares that are restricted right now. So I take the low volume as a sign of the fact that RCRT is already in its proxy period. Things are in motion. The companies can't talk at all. But after the proxy period, after it's approved, there'll be more information. So I don't talk about Go Logic as much because it's bloody confusing. I cannot explain exactly what's going to happen, but I expect Go Logic to be, for you and me, I own it, not as much as you do. Well, actually, maybe I do now. I bought a little bit this morning. I actually might have I might have 2,000 shares more than you do now. I bought 1,500 shares this morning at like 58 cents. The reason I'm hesitating is I actually might have. Here, I can tell you. Oh, yeah, I've got of GoLogic, Ted, I have 25.8. And I would say that stock from here will go up 10x from here. Obviously, you might have paid more for some. I did pay more. So I'm not saying your return will be 10x, but from this price level, it's I'd say 8 to 10x from here. And again, as the approval process, as news releases come in, it's going to become clearer. And I expect that GoLogic could have a miniature short covering. I'm not talking, these major squeezes. I think Aubrey SPAC could have a miniature short squeeze. And I think as things get clearer, people's confidence are going to go up, and you'll be able to buy, there'll be volume, and you'll be able to buy all the GoLogic you want at $2 or $3 a share. Well, that would be great, Digital Dark Lords. I'd be glad to look at your foundation. I was assured it wasn't anything personal, and look at the bright, all that crap. I was really hurt by it because they surprised me. But the other gentleman, oh my God, you couldn't find more elegance, more talent, more wisdom than he, and they dumped him too. I just saw that again. Can I tell Chris Gabriel? I like your last name. I'm just so bored with my own story, and that would involve talking about my mother. It all began with my mother. Doesn't everyone's life begin with their mother? I feel like I'm... All right. I have the patience of Job and the experience of Job, too, my dad used to say. Your persistence in the face of all odds. What's that song? And your persistence even in the face of all odds. Oh, what is that song? And your persistence in the face of all odds. Oh, it's Bruce Springsteen. Your persistence in the face, even in the face of all odds. Is it I've broken all your windows, I've broken all your walls and smashed all your doors. And let me look it up. I came for you, I came for you, even though you did not meet my urgency. I came for you. Lyrics. Now, this is some new version of some nightmare song. I came for you. Oh, it's Manfred Mann. That's true. It's Manfred Mann. I love it. Princess card she sends me with her regards. Old barroom I shine vacancy. To see her, you've got to look hard. Wounded deep in battle, I stand stuffed like some soldier undaunted. To her Cheshire smile, I'll stand on file. She's all I ever wanted. You let your blue walls stand in the way of these facts. Honey, get your carpetbaggers off my back. Girl, give me time to cover my tracks. You said here's your mirror and your ball and jacks, but they're not what I came here for. Oh, I came for so much more. I know you know that's too. I know you know that's true. I came for you. All right, let's see if this is it. Maybe I have the wrong song. I might have the wrong song. It's not the right one. I don't know where that version. Um, RNV zero. Any reason why? They stripped you of money, and that's what they wanted to do. I think they misled Lou. And when your bid is 0.00001 and your offer is 0.0000002 or 3, it's 100% profit when you go back and forth. Ham just landed. Ham just tweeted. Maybe he'll come on. Maybe he'll call in. So I won't hang up. Your handle rings wonderful. I mean, 70%. I like that. Comics and books rescue for kids. That'd be great. I'd be glad to help. Tenderloin cutlets. That sounds good. Are you certain that an offshore entity which engages in naked shorts must pay a borrow fee and can be forced to close its position? Can an offshore entity be a market maker? No, I'm not sure of that. I'm not sure of all the rules. Terry, I think that an offshore group can sell one share of stock into the U.S. markets, and then they can just flood. They create a market for it. They can just flood it. According to the article that I read the other day, which I got to learn how to do on here, I paid for the upgrade. But anyway, they sell shares through what they call pipes, not to be confused with the investment pipes. They just, kind of like light pipes, high speed trading. And they can do it in size. They don't have to disclose who they are. The market makers take the order. And I'm trying to remember that song, In the Face of All These Odds. It might be this song. Anyway, they use market makers in the United States. They don't have to be a market maker. They have access to the market makers. You don't. So they use that. That's not their thing. But they sell through these pipes. Nobody knows who the seller is. And to answer your question, no. They probably, in many cases, simply sell as if they own the stock and they're going to deliver later. And it's not a short sale. It's a long marked wrong. It's the prime broker who's exposed because the prime broker is responsible to deliver those shares to the broker dealer who bought them on behalf of you. So if the stock price starts rising, it's the prime broker who loses capital, and they buy in even if they can't locate the real seller. But no, It depends. It's supposed to be they would pay fees. And I guess that's a better question to ask of Ham than myself. But my experience was that my firms liked the free credit balance and they didn't charge the accounts anything waiting for delivery of shares because the cash, millions of dollars of cash would sit in my accounts without any without my firm having to pay anything to the client. And so it was a lot of interest that the firm, overnight interest the firm earned. Hi, Kareem. You can DM me. I don't know how to use DMs, but Digital Dark Lords, I'm going to try to set up an email tonight or tomorrow morning. I think it's easy to do. And I'll put that out so that if shills start emailing me, it'll all be in that one email. Screen door slams. Mary's dress sways. Like a vision, she dances across the porch as Roy Orbison plays. Hey, it's me and I'm lonely. No, hey, it's me and I want you only. Don't turn me. Now I'm losing it. Now I'm losing the words. She was blinded by the light like a deuce. In the face of all these odds. I'm not sure this is the song. In the face of all these odds. All right, I'll look that up. In the face. Probably won't find it. Probably won't find it. Oh, it is. It is the Bruce. It is I Came for You. Princess card she sends me with her regards. Oh, barroom eyes shine vacancy. To see her, you've got to look hard. Wounded deep in battle. I send stuff. Okay, that's not it. Oh, there it is. Oh, crawl into my ambulance. Your pulse is getting weak. Oh, reveal yourself all now to me, girl, while you've got the strength to speak. 'Cause they're waiting for you at Bellevue with their oxygen masks. But I could give it all to you now if only you would ask. Oh, and don't call for your surgeon. Even he says it's too late. It's not your lungs this time. It's your heart that holds your fate. Don't give me money, honey. I don't want it back. You and your pony face and your Union Jack. Well, take your local joker and teach him how to act. I swear I was never that way, even when I really crack. Didn't you think you knew? I knew that you were born with the power of a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and your Chelsea suicide with no apparent motive. You could laugh and cry in a single sound. Here's where it was. It was in the chorus. And your strength is devastating in the face of all these odds. Remember how I kept you waiting when it was my turn to be the god. Do I have crackling in my channel? I have crackling in my channel. You know, I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make this whole experience better. Can we get him on the air? I don't know. Let me see. Let me mute you. He's going to come on. Ham is going to come on. Ham is going to come on. I might have to call him back. Let's see. I'd have to call him back. All right. He said he said let's go, and then it hung up, but we'll see if he calls back. Maybe he won't. Maybe he won't. The song I'd love to hear from Springs. All right. Ham? Ham? Oh, you're over. Hang on. You're over on my, hang on, speaker. All right. There you go. All right.
Are we on?
Yep, we're on.
All right, everybody. Just got back. It's a long flight. Had a great night. Gentleman I spoke to said to my face he's going to buy 1 million shares. I can't check on him in a plane that had no Wi-Fi. I can't. I just got home. He owns a couple million shares already, so he's in. So, real deal guy. So he also knows the chairman of Jeffries is going to reach out to him on that issue. He also told me that Lynn Partners is probably leveraged 10 to 1, meaning that they are really deep in. All right, so whoever they're doing it with, they have a real problem. He agreed, and he has actual understanding of how these guys manipulate two things. So, this is not a game that people don't know anything about. All right, people running money, real money, know about the crime. All right, they know some of the loopholes. They don't know that Jeffries was prime. They don't know this. They know leverage, and because he agrees. And again, if they step in when they step in, that's all I can tell you. It's an easy story to tell. Just remember, data doesn't lie. People do. Someone sent me this guy, Scotty, telling him that he called the police and that we're all going to get in trouble. And they sent me his post. I'm blocked. I can't see it. But he's a piece of shit. And I put up that we reported to the police 12 times in 2.5 years?
Oh, easily.
3 years we reported to the police. We reported the crime. What do you want us to tell you? We're pumping. We're starting a riot over nothing.
Who said we're pumping?
Oh, this guy. I don't know. I can't see his email. Someone sent me a text and he put up some nasty stuff. And I said, screw this guy. He's got the name of an Italian cookie. Tell him to go fuck himself.
Frascati?
Yeah, that's the guy. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm blocked. I went to see what he said. And he said that I told you to sell it at $750. I warned you. Yeah. He's warning us. That's just what we need. Another warning bell. He didn't warn us about Lynn Partners destroying hundreds of companies. The Cream is looting people. They're all bad actors, unregistered toxic lenders, you name it. Nothing about that. But he's warning everybody who bought the stock. All they're trying to do is create a panic to unwind it. That's all they're trying to do. But we're not going to let them do that. Okay? We all own it. We've been here for years. We're not going away.
I told everyone here when they brought that guy up, I said, I quoted you, we're not very good pumpers.
Yeah, I can't even pump it up. Listen, when a guy picks a point, like 750, and they bash it straight down from that point, I don't know about you, but that tells you that the guy's in cahoots with the bad guys.
Yeah.
He knows when they're going to attack.
Oh, yeah.
They all know. They work together, and this is what they do.
And
there's more money to be made on the downside. These guys short millions of shares, and then drive it down. So just think about if you shorted 10 million shares of a stock at 7, and it's 5. It's $20 million. They close out their positions. They make $20 million. They get a guy like Piscotti and give him a couple of $100,000 for trying to work and bash the stock down. He gets his network of people to do it. Everybody walks away with $500,000, and they go on to the next stock. That's what they do. They do it to every stock out there, from GNS to this one to that one to Savvy Management. This is the game. And their loophole is that these guys can flood these systems with counterfeit shares. That's it. That's the whole game.
Yeah, and it's all coordinated. It's all illegal what they do, but no one cares.
It's a crime family. These guys belong in jail for life.
So, Ham, what you started with was saying this guy could buy 1 million shares, maybe he already owns 2 million. Can you go through the arithmetic quickly? If the DTCC has 24 million shares, how many shares do we know are owned? Who the hell is selling what?
Well, in Puerto Rico, I met a bunch of people, and collectively, you got 20 right there.
So what are they selling?
So they're selling IOUs. That's what it is. Counterfeit shares. Listen, I can't bump into any more people that own 700,000, 600,000. I met my friend in Las Vegas, and his family's wealthy. I thought he had 250,000. He owned 825,000 or some stupid number. There's many people like that you don't even pay attention to. That I don't even pay attention to. These are smart people that read the information that we see. You can see the selling, the buying comes in when the stock goes up. The other day, I know people bought it up to 7, bought 1 million shares. They hit every bid. And then as soon as the buying stops, they start to do the cha-cha to mark it down. It's the same pattern every day. And they try to take advantage of the market down a couple of hundred today, and they whack it out doing that because everyone sits there, oh, the world is ending. The world is ending for the stocks that went up every day. That's where the world ends. It doesn't end for the companies that didn't participate on the upside. If Finger Motion went to 300 and it's not rallying back because people are taking profits, I get it. But we're in the same spot. What's the panic to sell this stock for? There is none. It's manipulation.
Yeah.
If you own NVIDIA and you're up $50, I can see you selling it. Why? Because you need to, you're protecting your profits. This is not NVIDIA. And I told you about NVIDIA. When the shit hits the fan, they're going to raise money by selling Apple, NVIDIA, you name it. And they go to the press, they write these stories, whether Apple's not coming through with their new iPhone 15. How many iPhones can they make? What more do you want them to What are they going to do? Put a bazooka in the phone soon? What else are you going to put on it? There's nothing else to do. Eventually the products age out. So again, I got it. But a company that's just coming at it from nowhere, that's expanding. Oh yeah, we're going to sell that stock first. It didn't even move up yet. It's very difficult. It's a head game. I understand it. You got your family, your money, just like my family. I don't want to lose money. I have a family too. But you know what? I'm not going away. And that's the end of it. I told you I spoke to a major political person, and I have to present to them this weekend. A major political person. I can't give you their name, but, it's someone that people voted for. Trust me. And they're pissed off because they were involved in a SPAC, and they raised money for it and got destroyed.
So you're going to the Clinton Foundation? No, just kidding. Just kidding.
It's like that. They're Democrats, and I told them that the short sellers were, I called them the party boys. I couldn't remember what they called them, the Proud Boys, I was told. I forgot what they called them, the party
That's all
boys.
written, by the way, that's all made up by the, and I'm going to not talk about it. I'm going to not talk about it.
I just made it up as a joke. I knew they were all big Democrats, so I said they're probably they naked short sellers on Wall Street looting are all tied to Trump, and they're the Proud Boys, or the Party Boys. That's what I said. So if anything, we'll throw them under the bus. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit who fixes this. The man on the moon can settle the trades. Fix this shit. This is a disgrace. Everyone that's wasting their time listening to me yap about the same shit every day, this is a disgrace. What else can I say? All the proof is right here. We're not stupid. You can see what they do every day. Lynn Partners belongs in jail. The CFO, all those people know what's going on. They all know. They all belong in jail. And the longer they stay here, the longer the jail sentence should be. And I'm glad MMTLP is pushing it down the road, and they're going to make it happen. And just to remind everybody, for that moron Juan yesterday looking for a medal, that he's fighting harder than anybody else. Again, everyone just do your part. No one's looking for a goddamn medal. We want the stocks to settle, get our money, and go on with our lives. I'm not looking for a stupid medal. Get out of here, idiot. Any other questions?
All I can tell you is my credit's no good. I'd love to give you credit, but do you think it could take, this is for Finger, as long as next year to squeeze? And the guy's not being negative. He'll wait, but he's wondering.
Listen, everything is done, okay, to make it happen as soon as possible. No one wants to drag this out. Every day that goes on, Finger Motion's getting stronger as a company and a business. All right, so that is a positive for us. Listen, I'm always saying, whatever a company does is really, they attack it no matter what you do. They're attacking Apple for selling, their iPhones 15 for being underperforming. They go after anything. It's numbers. It's money. That's all they do. All they try to do is create doubt. Some guy writes a story. Everybody looks at it. And if they have a wide audience, you believe what they're saying.
A wide, W-I-D-E.
I'm hearing that PXMD is going after Lynn Partners. They have a debenture with them. The stock was $12. It's 50 cents. Lynn Partners. Peter, X-Ray, Mary, David. I don't know. There's news on it. Maybe it came out already. I don't know. That's Lynn Partners for you. And Lynn Partners gives them money, $12 million. The stock is 50 cents. How did they get back to $12 million? You just lost it?
Well, people say to me, well, you don't have proof. And sure enough, you can't literally prove what happened. But there it is, right in your face, over and over and over again at the Lynn Partners.
I have nothing to do with PXMD. Zero.
Right.
I'm told that they have a debenture with Lynn Partners for $12 million. Whatever, I think it's $12 million. The stock went from 12 to 50 cents. 12 to 50 cents on a company that got funded. and the market's been at the highest points, and the stock is down 99%. Funded by Lynn Partners. Do you finally figuring out what's connected dots here?
Yeah.
Connected dots. Lynn Partners. Everything they do goes straight down. Why? Because they naked short it. They make more money selling more shares and then try to convert at the bottom. And by the way, I think they were trying to convert in PXMD.
Wow.
And they're trying to convert down here. So I'm just saying that it's the same pattern. So anybody who says we don't have proof, it's right in your face. Finger Motion was giving their money back to Lynn that they borrowed as a debt, not even tied to equity. But Lynn put in the contract if the company defaults, it can convert into stock. That's their little trick that they tried to pull. The company offered them the money back. They wouldn't even take the money back. Who doesn't take their money back with interest? Because they're short the stock. They got busted. They never thought the stock was squeezed to 10, and the company raised money from friendly hands, and they know they got them now. They paid them off. There's your proof. You want more proof? It goes on and on and on.
Bastards.
The Kramers in GTII. They had a stupid note. The stock ran up. They got paid off. Charlie Mayo's calling up trying to buy back in. What happens then? The stock gets out of control and Alpine gets caught. It's all fraud. It's all behind the scenes fraud. We can't get that information, but the DTC gave it to you in GTII. They gave it to you. I didn't give it to you. The DTC gave it to you. That's the most important functioning part of stock settlement, the depository trust. And they told you, GTII, to have a short position in the stock. What is a prime broker doing with a short position? What are they, a hedge fund?
Yeah.
They're criminals. All of them. They belong in jail. They've been doing it since 1988. I've been yelling about it since 2000. If you think I'm nuts, then you know what? Take it easy. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I can't say anything about it. I'm not wasting my breath every day. I just got home, and I'm ripping mad that these guys are still manipulating the stock. We're going to get them. But I'm just letting you know, days like this bother me, and we're going to get them. It makes me work harder now. That's how it works.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, just what I want to do. I want to work harder.
You wouldn't know what to do if you could just sit on a beach. You wouldn't know what to do.
I can't do that. People say you're on vacation sitting at the beach. No, I was on an island surrounded by water, I said. What would you like me to take a picture of a building? Idiots. Oh, I'm going to the beach. Yeah, right. Just what I did.
Oh, here's a good point, Ham. Ocean Sailing said, and she's from up near where you are. She said she's looking forward to the earnings from Finger on October 16th, and they should kick ass, I think.
I've heard. I think the company said it in a video. The CEO said they expect to be profitable.
Yeah.
That's completely opposite of the fake story that was posted from Australia. People, in a story like this, it's like a mini series. It keeps going on. So chapter 20 was the fake story from Australia that Dodger put up there for us. That was very nice. That's where Lynn Partners' money guy is from, Australia. But some guy did a Seeking Alpha story from Australia. I wonder if they're tied together, right? And he said that the company can't figure out will never get to profitability. And the CEO said it in a video that they're going to be profitable. Okay. So all that was a front, a story that they post, and then they attack behind it, saying, "Oh, the company's not going to be profitable." That's why.
And that's
what the story is. Good.
It was an affront to truth. Not Legal Vice points out, that's Richard Hoffman, and you were on his show. He says you can prove it, but it doesn't have to be direct evidence. Circumstantial evidence is equally compelling and often more probative. And I think probative means uh, binding, legally binding. I don't know what it means. I'm not a lawyer, but anyway, circumstantial evidence does it, and this is certainly circumstantial evidence.
It's the public companies have to fight for their lives, to hire lawyers and spend all kind of money to hire West Christian to file things in court, wait for the courts to make a decision on whether you can see behind the curtain. These guys know it's very difficult for the courts to provide, force these guys to show what's behind the curtain. The SEC is no help, as you can see. Gensler sits there just talking nonsense. All right? So it's the same thing. Who's protecting the people here? You're it, William. That's it.
I know it's you. I'm just a pass through.
Anybody wants to take over this thing, I'll leave you when I die. You can have it as an inheritance. Who wants to run this business? I couldn't open a pizza store. I had to do this. Are you kidding me?
Imagine going to St. Peter and saying, he says, "What did you do with your life?" "Oh, I fought the shorts." That's it. Somebody asked earlier, and maybe you'd be good at answering. I did my best. But these people, let's say they're selling out of Germany and they're selling stock. Maybe it's illegally short, but maybe they're selling it long, wrong, so to speak. Do they actually have to pay for that? Is there actually a cost to doing those sales that catches up with them?
I don't know what they do on the hold on one second, just hold on.
All right.
Guys, I just let you know that besides everything else that goes on in my crazy life, my wife tripped and fell today, hit her head on the concrete, and was in the emergency room all day while I was traveling. So everything's okay now. Sprained her ankle, hit her head, and the CAT scan was good. Anyway, that was and I didn't know anything of what happened because I was on a plane until I got off. Anyway, so a long day. Your question is, I don't know what happens when they mark the tickets as a long sale. When you see GTII and you see Finger Motion having 20% or 43%, you know they're selling stock as longs. Okay? There's no selling in the stock. I've spoken to many people. Don't get me wrong. People can sell 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. I got it. All right? I'm talking about selling. I'm talking people with 100, 200,000 shares. Zero selling. And I communicate with a lot of people. So there was zero. Today was 500,000 shares. The stock was marked down again. They wanted it below 5 for whatever reason, and that's what they did.
Well,
I have no idea why they're doing it.
I mean, just with the arithmetic you did, they don't have any. There is no shares. There are no shares to sell.
So when they sell it long, hopefully the SEC doesn't catch up to them. And you know what? Hopefully that the thing will unwind. They keep attacking because they want it to unwind. They want the people that bought it, they want you to sell it. That's the game. And we know it, and they're trapped. And the longer this goes on, the tighter the noose is going to get on them.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to say about it. They do not care about your family. They don't care about the sick. They don't care about anybody. They sit around high-fiving today and say, "Hey, we marked it down 15 cents. Fuck those people." That's what they said.
They don't care.
Let's go out and have a drink. Let's go have a big steak tonight. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And that's how I want you to feel. These are not your friends. They're thieves. That's what they do. I've seen the people like this before. I've been around trading groups, and I can tell you, and I used to scratch my head. I used to say, over-the-counter market makers trading against people's orders all day. I used to say that 20 years ago they were stealing. I said, once you take some risk and put your money up and take a position. Instead, when you buy it and there's 50,000 to buy it, they know they got 200,000 to sell. They short it and then drive it lower. That's all they do.
Yeah.
Think about it. 50,000 shares down a quarter. They do it every day. Take the money, take the money, take the money. no risk, has nothing to do with the company, has nothing to do with fundamentals, nothing to do with anything. It's just manipulation, trying to steal pennies and quarters, whatever they can steal. In our case, in Finger Motion, they don't cover any because they sold too many. They're stuck.
Right.
They can't buy it back. Today's the day they should be buying it back, and they're not.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone, I have to run. My wife is calling me, and have a great night, and I'll be ready to go tomorrow.
Thanks, Ham. Prayers, as Digital Dark Lord says, prayers uploaded for Ham's wife, and everybody's saying it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye. All right. There, you got it from the hamster. And Anna's on here. I don't know if she still is, but we'll do a video on MMTLP, and I paid for an upgrade. I think I can have 6 people on at the same time. So, but anyway, I look forward to it when Anna's ready. It is 5:43. I can go to 6 or quit sooner, but we heard everything from Ham. How can the CEOs of any of these? Oh, I agree. I think, Skinny, it occurred to me that it should be illegal for the CEOs to sign these kind of notes, and then the SEC would go after it. Because the SEC goes after CEOs. It doesn't go after their buddies who have institutionalized and codified and made rigid this criminality. It's just in the fiber of it's in the networks of our financial system, this criminal behavior. That's exactly right. Okay, so this sounds like me. This sounds like me. Bit, I can't type on a phone to save my life. Get it? Let me just see what else is here. So anyway, if I can summarize on Finger, I think you're going to see potentially an approval of that filing. Here it is. I found it. This is just the front. This is just one page of it. Just one page that I printed out the other day, September 11th, the S3. When the shelf registration is approved. This is for the 25 million. This is for the 25 million. And I printed that out the other day and we read it. It says the company will pay a sales agent a commission of 2.25%. But I believe that Univest can also act as I'm not a legal guy. What term would it be? As a placement agent, but that might be the same as sales agent. Anyway, it doesn't matter that I don't understand it. It was not Berta, although John Berta is fighting extraordinarily hard. It was Jeremy Frommer who started CEO Bloc, like the communist bloc, BLOC, I mean, not, anyway, CEO Bloc with a ending at the C. Anyway, this went out on September 11th. And you've just got to know that Univest must have the best lawyers money can buy. They've done so many, and I'm going to figure out how to share my screen. I swear I paid for it. But you can go to the Univest website. You can see the tombstones. They have done so many IPOs, financing, secondaries, M&A. they must have the greased of all greased relationships with the SEC. So if you add 5 days to September 11th, or 7 days, or 10 days, we're in that time frame. And maybe it's Monday or Tuesday next week, but we're in that time frame. Well, it's possible he might do that, but everyone tells me he doesn't get involved. I would also restate what I just, or reiterate what I just said. I think that Univest has powerful attorneys. And remember, the people at the SEC are attorneys. They want jobs, revolving door. I'm going to guess the ongoing relationships which Univest's attorneys have are going to overwhelm any slow walk by the SEC. 68% finger short. This is a good point. John Berta started Flamethrowers Group. So people are fighting all over the place, everyone, including Juan, by the way. Juan is fighting, and if the shorts never cover, how do they get the money out of the account? There's two ways I can think of. One is reverse splits. And I talked about it yesterday. I've shown examples before, but let's just do it conceptually very quickly. Let's say somebody sold 100 million shares short of finger motion, and it's with one prime broker, and it's short illegally, but it's short. So the prime broker is saying you need to keep $10 a share to maintain that position. That is $1 billion that's in the prime broker's account on behalf of this one criminal. Well, guess what? In the document, it says if the stock goes down below $1 and you get delisted, you're in default. So the CEO, who's used to always doing things properly, says, uh-oh. And the smiling liars at Linden Partners say, well, you know what you can do? You can reverse split. So I'll just use my example. Let's say they do a reverse split, one share for every 10. All of a sudden, the requirement to hold $1 billion at the prime brokerage, $10 a share, becomes $100 million. It releases $900 million without a 1099. That's number one. The other thing is if they can seller box the stock, if they can get it down like they did RNVA, like they did DBMM, like they did VNUE, like they did HPIL, like they did GTLL. These are some of the power up lending beauties. If the stock goes from dollars or pennies down to just 0.000001 and it stays there and it's all she wrote, I'm sure they can get their money out. Maybe just by combining the account with a bigger position. But I'm not sure they'd expose it. But I'm sure they can get their money out. The other way they get their money out is if they can drive the companies into bankruptcy, or if they can drive the companies into other agreements. I'm trying to think of one, but a bankruptcy is a good one. The stock goes to nothing. The stock goes to nothing. There's no 1099. They just take their money out, and the IRS is none the better. There's plenty of ways for them to get their money out of the accounts. Plenty of ways. The other way they do one fix it, man, is they will move the failed to delivers, the shorts, from account to account to account. So if if LLC1 shorts the stock, LLC2 shorts the stock, covering that position, they can take that money out. They can do it again and again and again. The SEC couldn't care less. They meet at Harry's bar and they chop up the profits. The SEC is complicit with this. They have the computers to follow it, but it's a profit center for Goldman Sachs prime brokerage. One of the trolls on Twitter was tweeting that Gensler needs to delay the S3 to protect. Look, this is fear mongering. Despite what we started out the call with, when I responded to a question regarding an individual who put what I consider ill-advised information out on Twitter, I've heard back it doesn't matter. I don't think it's going to stop a thing. I don't think the SEC is going to slow walk it. I don't know. I don't know what direction I'm moving that's correct. So then when I move the wrong way, I'm not going to know it. It's also really nice to be able to see what question you are answering on the screen when you're not watching live. Oh, I see. Like when it's a playback. Okay, I got you. And hello, everyone. Everyone that's watching afterward. Saber, I blocked Skinny some time ago. What? Is there something wrong? Skinny is one of the trolls on Twitter tweeting. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought Skinny was one of ours. I didn't know that. See, this is the problem. Judgment. I'm not going to repeat your name, but why does it seem that the 4-letter tickers are always heavy manipulated? Because it's over the counter. Can I just make it clear to everyone? The SEC does not supervise the over-the-counter markets. Unless there's a sudden rally in the price, they'll come after the CEO for manipulating the price. They don't care if the price is destroyed and you lose your money. The SEC does not care. Corruption in the over-the-counter market is okay with Gary Gensler, despite his assurances before the Senate Finance Committee that he would root out corruption wherever it exists. The man is a dissembler, and he's not very good at it. Ever since Univest, I stopped seeing that Piscotti guy on. Well, maybe he is high raising the vibration with Yang. It's a great name. Maybe he is one of those two, but that's interesting. No, Skinny, I agree that you're probably not. Also, Skinny, you could be, what's the word? It could be a fake Skinny on the Twitter. So I'm not believing it. Sometimes the OTC stocks skyrocket 0.010%. Yeah, it's true. All right. It's 4 minutes to go. So if you have questions, So Saber says, didn't think you were skinny, but context gets lost easily in sort messages. Absolutely. Then we have to understand each other. There you go. Her name isn't Skinny on Twitter. I think it's Great or RRRR or something. But don't worry, Skinny. I haven't changed my mind about you. So anyway, 3 minutes to go. Thank you for coming on, Anna, if you're still there. Um, it's 6 o'clock in 3 minutes. Rumbler, there it is with all the R's, Rumbler. I remember the R's. I didn't remember the rest of it. Okay, Anna says, thanks, William. Thank you. Remember that it's possible. I'm not promising it. I have no inside information. I'm not giving out any kind of privileged information, but it is possible, unlikely, but possible, that the S3 for finger motion, the S3 is approved tonight. It's possible. I'd say not likely, but it is possible. So after 6, check the SEC website. Grow up, Arthur. You'll make a fine adult. 558. I told you that one, VO Warrior. I told you that one where Susan comes up to Arthur at a cocktail party or at some gathering, and she says, Arthur, she says, we used to be so happy. And he's swirling his drink. And this is the woman that Arthur was meant to marry. We used to be so happy, Arthur. Don't you remember? And he says, ah, yes. And she said, what happened? And he said, and then we met. All right. I'm tired of being an adult. 1 more minute. So if there's one more question, grow up, Arthur. You'll make a fine adult. Good night. I'm tired of being an adult. Moon River. If there's one more, I'll answer it. Otherwise, we're counting down. And by the way, there's a way to make a countdown on this. I got to learn how to do it. Lucky, I'm going to come over there. What movie? It's Arthur 2. The story I just told is Arthur 2. It wasn't a great movie. It never gets old. I know. That's the thing about my humor. It never gets old, VO Warrior. Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to say goodnight. Think of Ham's wife tonight. In fact, let's think of Jenny L, because she's not been on, and I think she's carrying quite a fight right now. So if you have time to think of her, put her in your thoughts and prayers. I appreciate every one of you. And I didn't know that. I didn't know Johnny Mercer was from Savannah. And I thought it was Andy Williams anyway. But yeah, I like that. That's really great, from Savannah, Georgia. I like this too. So anyway, I wish everybody peace, love, and happiness, and we'll have some surcease too. So I'll wish each of us surcease in the near future from this stress and manipulation and just endless wondering. All we need is one good result. Our blood pressures will go down, and we'll be able to point to something that says, hey, it really happens. God bless. Thank you. I think they have authority. Absolutely not legal advice. The way I read it, I just don't have the legal terminology. They can buy the shares directly from Finger. I'll use my words. So they give, let's say they give 25 million to I'm not saying this is going to happen, to Finger Motion for 5 million shares. Finger has raised $25 million, and then they can allocate it in an account or among their accounts, and they can do an offering, let's say at 50 million for another raise. So you have clearance, Clarence. That's a Roger. Thank you, Vector. All right, we'll all be millionaires, hopefully. But I learned a lesson last week that what it's not just the money, it's how we live. And we don't need to be millionaires. We just be able to have enough money to live the life that makes us happy. My dog, I found out has got something, and something wrong with its tooth and all this, and poor guy. I try to just enjoy each day with him, and that's what we have to do. Wishing speedy recovery. I will. Has the SEC always been like this? I don't think so. Maybe subtly. But I think the big change came, it started under Reagan, but the big change came with the greatest Republican president of all time, William Jefferson Clinton. He got more done, more achieved on the Republican agenda than any Republican ever did. And one of those achievements was convincing all of us that Wall Street could regulate itself. It's preposterous. But Bill Clinton could sell the promise of love to people even though he was already married. He is a master salesman. All right. I'm going to hang up. I'm looking. It looks like everything is done. Wow. Johnny Mercer, A Musical Legacy, Savannah, Georgia. Moon River. All right, I'm going to hang up. We'll get together tomorrow, and I appreciate you tuning in. Don't stress on the stock price until the S3 is approved. I believe in justice, and yes, I voted for Trump. Let's make Smerica. I want to make Smerica great again. I think it's great that you're a self-made entrepreneur, Skinny, and I think your observations and your questions are, I've said this so many times, they're perceptive, but more important, they show that you're an entrepreneur. They show that you have experience. They show that you understand risk. That's bottom line. You understand risk. All right. Good night. Okay. Cheers, everyone. I'm going to end it. I think I have to hit this button twice. When the S3 is already out, Ricky Borden, here it is. The S3 came out on September 11th. It was slightly amended last Thursday. I think the approval could come any day, but I think the best answer is within 10 business days of September 11th. We're in that time frame. I think it could come as soon as tonight, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I emphasize that I don't have any entree to the SEC, and bottom line, who knows? If Univest is buying for a profit, how long would you think they hold the shares? Do they hold as long as FNGR is doing well? I don't know the answer, but my guess is because they're an institution, if they were able to buy shares, I don't know the strategy, but I'm guessing they're going to buy shares now and fund FNGR maybe at $5. If they run it, I'm making the numbers up. But if they run it as high as $75 and do an offering at 50, I think they'll participate in that. My guess is, if they did an offering into the market at $50, the majority might go to FNGR, but partly it'd be selling shareholders, and it might be they. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll get to see it. We're going to have a ringside seat. Hey, Ricky. Yes, I remember that your name. I'm having a hard time remembering your face. I met a lot of people, but we'll meet again. And I really appreciate that you're on the live. Counsel for Univest is Hunter Taubman. Fear and Loathing in New York. Hunter Taubman. Well, it brings up a question, not legal advice. I hope you don't get mad if I ask it. Would Hunter Taubman be working this weekend? He might not be, and he might have to wait until after this weekend. I'm just wondering. Share lending is not legal advice. You nailed it. You nailed it. But they lend non-existent shares too, and they use this term hypothecation and rehypothecation. Wes Christian says it's best. Down here in Texas, we just call it stealing. Oh, from Tennessee. I remember you, Rick, from Tennessee. I definitely do. Good to see you again. I never met you, but I look forward to one day. Yes, sir, Akira Nova. I look forward to it too. Anyway, let me go. I'm going to go walk Lucky, and let's not stress out. It was really a beast last week. Let's just see what it's like on the other foot. It might be stressful for them very soon. Okay, cheers. Thank you, Rick. And anyway, we'll catch you on the flip side.